How's it going, everybody? This is Jason Ostrowski, and welcome to another episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. My guest today is one of my favorite people on the planet to talk real estate with. His name is Bob Kelley, and he is the team leader of the mega successful Bob Kelley Team based out of our Bluebell office. Each day, Bob leads his team comprised of 18 very different agents in terms of personality and experience to perennial Chairman's Circle Diamond Award recipients. In fact, while many agents and teams struggled to find success in a tougher market in 2023, the Bob Kelley Team's production grew by roughly 30% year over year. In this episode, we'll peel back the curtain on Bob's philosophy on managing a large team and what's the secret to their success in becoming one of the top teams within Fox & Roach. So let's get right into being the CEO of your team with Bob Kelley, and we'll pick it up on the other side. All right, so all I can say about the podcast is it's about time today, all right? Because my guest was meant to be my very first guest ever on the podcast. In fact, he doesn't know this, but when I pictured myself doing this podcast, I wanted it to sound like one of our conversations like we used to have on the phone from time to time, where we just sit back and talk real estate with each other for about an hour or so. And I had it all mapped out that Bob would be my first guest on the podcast. And then the strangest thing happened right before we could record. We had some technical difficulties for just about, 3.5 years or so, Bob? Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that what we should call it, I guess, technical difficulties? I wasn't sure we would ever get Bob on the podcast, but lo and behold, he's here today to talk about his team and how they keep beating me out for Breakfast of Champions every month. So, Bob, how are you, man? It's about time that we made this happen. I'm super excited. How's that Agent of the Month life treating you?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to take over as Agent of the Month for 1 month, but I'm thrilled to be here. Long time coming, like you said, and I'm excited, man.
Well, it's nice to finally get to do this together. You know, we go way back. People do not know this, but we actually go back to high school together. So that's how far we go back. So my first question to you is, what's it like being a team leader of a large team? I think you have 18 people. Is that accurate? I actually literally counted them on your website. 18 people with the potential chaos that can bring in your day-to-day life. And trying to juggle that chaos with your family life along with it and sports and everything that goes on.
Yeah.
What's that like just day to day for you?
Day to day, it's fun. Each day is a brings a new challenge. It is, I have 2 kids. One is a high school junior baseball player. The other one is a high school sophomore softball player. So we're about to get into the throes of that now. That creates some other complications, but I do feel like it's the perfect role for me. So, getting all those people, managing the personalities, being available for the team members. Some days is a bigger challenge than others, but it's mostly fun, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be on, I would think, 24 hours a day, whether it's, you're at home or you're at work and trying to do that. And I see you in the office and I'm almost afraid to come and talk to you because I know you have so much going on every day. I just always wonder in the back of your mind if you can't wait for me to leave when I actually start talking to you so you can get stuff done. Is that what you're thinking in the back of your mind when I say
that's absolutely not the case? The conversations are always welcome. No, I do have times during the day where I just shut off for maybe 30 minutes here or there, and that kind of helps suck out the noise. No one's going to die in real estate in 30 minutes. You'll be okay.
That's very true. I'm always thinking that I'm going to come back and you're just going to be asleep at your chair for like hour nap for like a half an hour. So with 18 people on your team, do you see your team continuing to expand? What is your current capacity? Like how big do you want to scale your team? Is that a question that you've thought about in your mind, or do you have a ceiling where you're like, all right, that's good. That's enough for me?
100% thought about it. Great question. I think for the time being, our plan is to expand from within. Like let's everyone who wants to do more, let's figure out a way to get them to do more, produce more. I'm big into trying to meet agents where they want to be. Some agents want to produce a lot. We have a couple of those on our team. Others want to supplement their family income or maybe pay for a home improvement project a year. So to me, I just want to get that a little bit more tighter and defined, sort of be more available and better for them. And then from there, we'll talk about expansion. We have some part-time agents, some full-time agents. So those that want to make that transition to full-time, that's a big grind. It's a big grind to get there. It's challenging. And I want to make sure I'm there for those people first. And then from there, we'll talk about maybe adding on others.
Obviously, you have a systematic approach to the way that you do things, and I kind of want to get into that a little bit more. But with that many agents, what is the best use of your time being the quote unquote, I know this makes you cringe, but being the quote unquote CEO of your team? What is it that you wake up and focus on as the leader of the team each day that will allow your people to be more successful, whether success is defined by the volume that they do? Like you said, some agents want to do as much business as possible. Others may define success a little bit differently based on what they want out of life. Like, what do you focus on to make those people more successful?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just starts with our team. We're, if I'm putting us down, I'd say we're a little loosey-goosey, but I'd rather say we're more flexible in how we approach things. I think just, figuring out exactly where each team member wants to be, and do we want to map out a plan to get there. And then I have team members who they want to talk deal points on every single deal, and they're some of our stronger producers, and that's the stuff I love, so I'm happy to do that. I have other team members who they want some guidance in the background, and then they want to kind of do their own thing. So I think just being flexible with them is a big help. And I think, trying to define what they want, then how to get there, I think is helpful. I don't know if that really answered the question, but that's.
I think based on yours and my conversation through the years, that I think, from afar, just looking at your strength is that you do help to define things. Not only do you know your stuff, but I think your capacity, your strength is kind of whittling it down to being a problem solver. And I remember you always said to me way back when we would talk, it's stuck in my brain that when you look for team members, you typically look for problem solvers. And I think that makes total sense. But they're all different personalities that are on your team, and different personalities in the world of real estate in general. So how do you engage with those differing personalities on your team? And how do you keep them happy? Because I know some of your team members there. They're a little unruly at times. Does your management style differ depending on the personality type that you're dealing with? Number one, and how do you kind of herd those cats? You know what I mean? How do you kind of keep it all together?
Yeah. I think to answer the first part, I feel like if you're a good manager, leader of a team, I really feel like you have to have some flexibility. You have to have some core principles. Hey, this is what we're going to work around. We have some systems in place. We're trying to save you time. We have some things to make you more money. And if you're going to participate in those, there's some rules. I think that's all fair buy-in. But I think the nature of this business, when you get back to it, almost everyone we know in this industry got into this business for some level of flexibility, the myth of be your own boss, have your own schedule. And then you quickly realize your schedule is whenever your clients want you to be available. But I think just keeping that the center point, and then saying, okay, well, here's, John Marshall, and this is what he wants, and how are we going to get there? And that is separate from, Stephanie Kowalski, and that's fine. Like, it's not right or wrong. It's just, different people have different things. Remind me of the second part. Sorry.
So does your management style differ with who you're dealing with? Some people need a little extra kick, right? Other people, you may need to lay back and kind of lay off, and that's not the way you would approach somebody. So do you tend to manage differently for different people on your team?
100%. I mean, I think, some people, one, I want to give everyone the ability to grow, and you kind of, real estate's, I feel like is a big challenge on how to train when you're new. you go through, you get your license, you learn all this stuff. You learn about riparian rights. Well, congratulations, you're not going to use that a lot in suburban Pennsylvania. You learn about how many square feet are in an acre. Don't quiz me because I forget. But you learn all this stuff, and then you start at a real estate company or on a team, and you have exactly zero clue how to make any money. And so I think just, keeping it focused on find leads, generate leads, be of service to your sphere. Like, I think those things are stuff that, like, we talk about a lot. They're things we talk about a lot on our team. So, I think that's all part of the puzzle. But being flexible, I think, is probably the number one takeaway.
So,
Yeah.
You talk about new agents. What do you look for in an agent when hiring a new team member? Are there certain attributes that they must have before taking them on? And then the training process, obviously a new agent is going to take more of your time because you have to train them. So are you first looking for experienced agents? Are you looking for new agents? Do you want a mix of both? How do you kind of take that on?
Yeah, I mean, as as we grow, a mix of both is definitely the answer. New agents are great because you can kind of mold them and they don't have any quote unquote bad habits. Experienced agents are great because they've done a few deals, they have a few battle scars, so it's there. You just might have to. It might be more of a challenge to kind of get them, into your system. I think the hardest thing to figure out in real estate, and you were a manager for many years, and I've been a team leader for a while now. You just don't know until the bullets start flying. I think if somebody's gonna make it. So on our team, one, I want to make sure they're a good fit with our group. There are many different personalities on our team, but everyone's pretty real and pretty genuine. And that's, we do have one rule. Can we do a bleep? No
Yeah.
assholes on our team. We're our own. but other than that, someone that's going to be a good mix, with everyone personally, right? It's a large team. And then from there, finding out how they're gonna work when you have a deal terminating at the last second because maybe a buyer has cold feet, or hey, think about a couple of years ago we had those tornadoes rip through and you did everything as an agent, but it's just not about you. It's about the client. They just lost their house or the house is destroyed. So can they separate their own personal financial outcome from what is best for the client? Because that's what you really need, and it's hard. It's really hard to figure that out. It's a big challenge to figure out who's going to make it and who's not.
Being in management and hiring certain people, like you said, you don't really know until you know.
Yeah.
You get a sense of somebody, and sometimes, quite honestly, you go through the hiring process and you think, well, the ceiling on this person may be XYZ, right? Just your gut sense. And sometimes you're totally wrong about that. Sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. And then the other thing can happen, right? You have somebody who talks a really good game. You think they're going to be just lights out as an agent, and then maybe they don't want to work that hard, and you kind of get those agents as well. And so do you ever give any kind of personality test to your team? Have you gone through that? Because a lot of large teams will actually do that in the hiring process. We've had team leaders on before that say that with everybody that they hire, they're taking a DISC assessment or some other kind of personality test.
Yeah, I generally tend to stay away from those. I've done them before. I've had a couple people on the team do them very, very early on. I just want to get to know the person and try to figure out, okay, why are you signing up for this? It's easy to get your license. It's easy to become a real estate agent. Some might say it's too easy. I would be one of those people.
I agree.
Do you know what you're signing up for? It's not $1 million listing. It's not selling Sunset. It's not, one of these shows where you walk in and you have all this business unless you're very, very fortunate. So, what are you doing? Like, a big thing with me is I'll just ask, no matter who the person is, okay, if you're starting today, get your license, today's day one, you happen to have client, best friend, someone who trusted you, they're out looking at houses today, they go under contract, you're probably not getting paid for 45 or 60 days. Tell me what that looks like in your life. And then I just shut up and see what they say and try my best to get a read on the situation and can they handle it. I think a lot of the failure rate is there's so many financial pressures when especially for those people who come from like a corporate background. Hey, I'm getting paid every other week. Well, Here you can get paid every day, but you have to have a settlement every day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
got to produce. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a totally different ballgame. It's a totally different pressure. And like you said, I think what's the failure rates like 75% of agents drop out within the first 2 years. And it's the 80-20% rule on top of that. And it's kind of what are you going to do to make sure that you're part of that small group that does the large part of business. And like you said, I totally agree with you. I think getting a license is way too easy. I think you and I have talked about that before and what we could do to kind of make it more difficult, to kind of weed out, the weak from the strong, quite honestly.
Yep.
And raise the level of professionalism in our industry. But that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. So do you market together as a team? I know your team is big on lead generation. I know some of the stuff you do, but if you would be willing to share, what is the most successful marketing / lead source for your team right now?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's always, we're no different than any other team. The large majority of our business comes from our sphere. So there are some things we do from a team level. Anything we do from a team level, really, we try to highlight the agent. I'm a big believer in a lot of these, a lot of teams. I don't want to disparage anything. It's focused so much on the team leader and not enough on the team member. So if I'm an agent and I'm on the Jason Ostrowski team and my mom wants to buy or sell a piece of real estate, she doesn't really care about the team leader. She cares about the relationship with me. So we try to keep that at the forefront. So there's some systems in place that we do that would fall into like sphere marketing for our team members throughout the year. There's some other initiatives that we do, team advertising for different listings and stuff based around transactions. And then we also give the freedom for the agents to sort of market themselves, and for that to be under the company and team brand as well. So just being a little flexible with it, but giving some support to them.
Are you still actively selling yourself? Like, do you?
Absolutely.
Okay. Like, I didn't know kind of where your own personal business fits into what you do, because I see you kind of running your team, and so much of your time is invested in that. And so I know there's only so many hours in a day. I didn't know if that's something that eventually you yourself want to step back from. Like, do you feel yourself kind of wanting to fade back and being just that sales leader, or do you still have that juice where like I want to be out there still selling every day myself?
Yeah, this is probably the thing I'm most passionate about. So when teams started, probably when you and I are both starting in real estate, maybe a little bit before that, nobody really know what it meant other than, all right, Jason's a great producer. We trust him to kind of mentor a couple agents. We don't want him to leave the brokerage, so we'll start a team, and everyone has a team. And then I think over the past 15, 20 years it's been more defined, and there's as many different styles as teams as there are as agents. But the big thing that I'm passionate about is if you're the manager of the office and you're a team leader, those are two very, very separate roles from me. Anne is your wife, as people know. Anne is the manager of our office. Anne is a professional real estate manager. She's great, not just saying that because of your relationship. She's a big reason why we came back. And if you're a team leader, I really feel like you need to be out there cutting heads off every day with your guys. You need to know they're different skill sets. And I just feel like once you get out of selling, there's no blood on the sword anymore. You're not out there. You're not doing it. It doesn't mean that you don't know the contract. It doesn't mean it just means you're one step removed, and you have other responsibilities that are just as important for the overall business. But I'm just passionate about the team leader should be getting their hands dirty a little bit.
As you know, my mother is now with me, and I'm not out to embarrass my mother, but she has not been in the field for a very long time, and things change day by day, let alone year by year. And she has all the real estate knowledge in the world, but doing a transaction is a completely different thing in today's world compared to 20 years ago.
Yep.
And when I was managing Jenkintown, it was the same thing. Getting back into sales, I had been out of sales for 3-4 years. And even getting back in then was a challenge. Like it's almost kind of relearning everything, even though you know everything, like you said, contract wise, you know how to problem solve with different things. It's that day-to-day operation that becomes the challenge, and kind of like you're like, wow, I feel like I've been out for a long time, you know?
Yeah, and I think we're meeting people at not to get like crazy romantic about what a real estate agent is, but I think we're meeting people at a lot of times like the single most stressful event for some of them that they've ever gone through at that point, or their biggest financial investment is the term that we always use, or hey, that family that's growing and holy shit, the baby's sorry. So the baby's due in 3 months. We got to find a place to live, right? All of these life events are evolved, and then it's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars involved. It's stressful. And when you're not dealing with sort of the emotional component of that on a day-to-day basis, it is hard to appreciate this, I think, the stakes of everyone involved.
Yeah, and especially you don't get a sense of the market either when you're removed from it. Like right now, it's nuts. I mean, the past 4 or 5 years. Well, I don't know when did COVID start? Like 2019, whatever.
2020. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? The pandemic era.
This week, 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, of real estate has been like just bonkers to deal with. You know, and one of my team members just said she had a client just went 100,000 over on a home that was in the sixes. Now they ended up getting it, but they were not the highest offer. And that's just insane. I mean, and we're still there, even with the rates being the way they are, we're still seeing those challenges. So anybody who's been out for a while is going to quickly learn what it's all about, but you just don't know, you know, you don't know what you don't know. You hear things, but you're not out there every day. And so I want to take it back to, you had mentioned kind of a problem with maybe dispersing leads amongst your team. And so I don't want to get too far down in the weeds with it, but I know that can be an issue when you have that many people on the team, right? So how do you systematically approach that? Like what's the best course of action when you maybe have a lead, and how do you judiciously go about handing those out to team members?
Yeah. Good question. I mean, I think first and foremost, not to get like too preachy, I as a team leader, I don't take any internet leads. So the team kind of bears the brunt of that cost, but they're out there and they're for team members, particularly like online leads, they're for team members to learn, to grow their business, to make a little bit more money at the end of the year. You could turn around and say, hey, Jason, you're on the team. You had 15 at-bats last year because of the team, whatever the case may be. It's a little bit different depending on the lead source, but basically we just sort of have like some things it's a next man up rotation. Others it's speaking with Zillow, we're big Zillow spenders, so that it calls 5 agents at once. You pick it up, you get the lead, you get 10 in a row. Congratulations, you got 10 in a row. Everyone needs to kind of get faster. When there's leads from me particularly, like if somebody calls on one of our listings, I'll generally try to find, judged off a quick conversation with the client, what's the best fit, where's the best location. Hey, our team will all travel regionally, but if they're looking in Skipback, well, Laura Pryor lives there, let's give that lead to her. So we'll kind of handle it like that, but it's not so rigid that there's no flexibility in it.
And do you keep just track of all your leads, where they're going, conversion, all that stuff? Do you track your return?
Yes, we could always be a little bit better at tracking. But we do we certainly keep track of what we're spending. We do keep track when things go under contract, where they are. Our guys do a pretty good job at following up. We're having meetings each week. We're slowly starting maybe to get back into that schedule shortly here, just to talk on like online leads especially.
So I want to touch upon with you your goals. And by your goals, I mean team goals.
Yep.
So do you have specific goals that you set as a team do you have individual goals and then team goals as well based off of those individual goals? Do you business plan with your team, number one?
Yep.
And number two, is it a constant growth mindset, or do you kind of look at, well, this year interest rates are what they are, unit sales are down. Like, is it market dependent, or do you just have like, market be damned, we're just going to grow every year? Like, how do you go about your goal setting?
I had a lot of thoughts as you were saying all those things. It's in some ways it's all of those things. So yes, we do business planning with our team. I keep it really simple. As a team leader, I really care more about, all right, why does this agent want to get to this point? And sometimes that's, sometimes it's something you talk about with the seller. Why are we selling your house? Where are you going? Those types of things. But and we try to tie it back to that. And then again, we have some flexibility in terms of there's some agents who want to meet weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. There's others that, hey, once a quarter is fine for me. I don't want it. We're not a big like accountability. Jason, how many people did you call yesterday? That's not, I don't think anyone got into real estate for that. So we're not that type of team. I try to adjust what we're shooting for as a team based off what the team members want to do and what the market is. So for example, last year we knew it was going to be a down market. I really wanted us to stay flat, but maybe be up about 5% because just kind of knew the growth of some team members. I had a couple of people getting into that 2.5, 3 year mark where now somebody might call you. It's time to move again. They know their stuff. We're getting our legs under us a little bit. And we had a fantastic year last year. We were up like almost 30% year over year, which was insane. And so we do that. But with that being said, one thing that we definitely talk about on our team, and we're not so stringent on the business planning. It's a one sheet page, quick meeting with team members. There's some people who they're uncomfortable doing it, and that's okay too. But we are big on not letting the distractions, the outside stuff, distract us from doing business. Your client wants to move. 99% of the time, it is a life event why they're moving. It doesn't matter if the rates are 50% or 3% or 8%. And I don't have time for the conversation. I don't have time for it. That's not to be disrespectful. I have all the time in the world for the clients for it, figuring out where we're at. But as team members, as salespeople, you have to figure out, all right, well, Jason's my buyer, and okay, now that the rates have gone up, he can't afford what he wanted to afford anymore. But he's got this job change. He has this reason to move. How do we make that work? And to me, it's all about the conversation. So I know that wasn't part of your question, but you had mentioned about outside market forces. That's a big thing that we're not getting distracted. It's COVID. We're not getting distracted. The civil unrest. We're selling houses here. That's what we do.
Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly about that, because I feel like when I'm business planning, the market, I know what the market is, but there's no excuses to, like you said, outside for it. I'm not going to let that affect my mindset every year that I'm trying to plan out. Like I want to be successful every year. Like, and I don't think there's any reason why I can't be, because like you said, people always have life decisions that are going to make them move every year. It's just about, getting in front of your people, making sure that they know who you are, where they can find you at all times.
Yes.
So if anything comes up real estate, they're going to give you a call, and that is not going to change. So I listening to you, and I don't mean to flatter you, but I'm going to flatter
bring it
you.
on.
I always just admire the kind of like the down to earth way that you speak about real estate. It's just very plain spoken, right? You know what you're talking about. You distill things very easily to be digested by people. That's how I feel.
Thank you.
That's like your superpower, right?
Yeah.
So what does being a good leader mean to you? And how do you define being that good leader with your own team? Like, how do you know you're being a good leader?
That's a tough question. I think you'd have to ask them. I think you have to be available. I think that's a very easy and kind of generic thing to say, but I think in this industry, there's so many people who start teams and they're still focused on their own business, their individual production first, and that means they're not available. So you have to be available for your team members. And that means you're available for the new guy that needs help going through inspections the first time, and you're available for the other guy who's sitting at a new construction walkthrough where the builder and the buyer have a gun at everyone's head because, the wrong hot water heater's been installed in the property or whatever happened. So you have to be available. I think you have to be fair. I think you have to give space for your team members to let it out, to be emotional. It's an emotional job. I think with our clients, client facing, you have to let your clients kind of, react. Oh my God, is this agent out of their mind? This is a low ball offer. It's so disrespectful. It's very emotional. You have to give them that space. For your team members when they're dealing with a challenging co-op or maybe a challenging client. You have to give them the space for that. And I think, if I'm going to pat myself on the back at all, I just think I'm pretty good at giving some clarity to, okay, well, this is, yep, the guy might be a jerk, but that doesn't matter. This is what we're talking about. And also a lot of people, I think, in our industry and people in general get stuck under, like there's only two outcomes, right? The choice is either A or B. So it's this concept of like a false duality, let's get nerdy. Come on. A lot of times in real estate, the outcome is like the third or fourth or fifth option. Like the solution is really there. It's not, oh, it's this or it's that. So I think just getting, people to kind of think, 2 or 3 steps down the line has been helpful for me. If people are going to say on the team that they think I'm a good leader, it's probably one of those things.
I think that's a good answer. And I think, like you would say, like I just finished Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Yeah.
And I got my Audible subscription now, so I'm all about the audio books now.
Oh yeah, I have some good ones.
I feel like I'm cheating, but I'm always working, so I can never like have a book with me, so that always comes in handy. So, but to your point, I think having that flexibility, like you had mentioned earlier, thinking kind of outside of the box a little bit to find a solution that may not be, like you said, A or B, but it's C, D, or F.
Yeah.
Is so much of what makes good agents great agents in our business,
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you that, we have never done a deal together, by the way. I
know, it's crazy.
I don't know how that has happened, that we've been circling each other for all these years. But I know that if I do a deal with you, that I know that I feel a sense of, I don't know what I was going to, professionalism on the other side, that I know that what I'm going to get. And I know we're going to figure it out and get to the finish line because you're the guy I'm working with. Right. And that's what makes a good team leader. And hopefully that trickles down to your team members too. So I know if I'm working with a good team, I know we're going to get it done.
Yeah. I mean, I think the team, like the one thing I think our guys do a good job with their clients is they're available and they're dependable. They're not sorry about that. They're not going to disappear during the transaction. And I always talk about with our team that when it gets messy, that's where the relationship is forever. When it gets messy, it's not like, oh, here's Jason, he makes $500,000 a year and he has $10 million in the bank and it's an easy cash deal. It's when it gets messy is when you can kind of show your worth, a little bit more as an agent.
Well, you're clearly talking about a different Jason, but I'll take that under advisement. So if you were starting a new team tomorrow, what should I focus on first? So for all the agents out there that may be thinking about starting a team, what should they focus on first in order to set a good foundation for the team's success?
Yeah, great question. I think, my advice is if you're starting a team, it's just not about you anymore. It's about the team, and you gotta be able to say that and not only like think about that, but like you're running a business, but you have to be available for these people. As agents, we're all lunatics, right? Like we all have chosen a path where the year starts and by any measure, you had a great year last year. Congratulations. You make $0 this year. So, it's crazy. We're all crazy. So you have to be, available, but you have to make it about the group. You have to make it about the group, find people there. You kind of have to protect that stuff with the group. And then, is it for you? I mean, I had a great mentor of mine when I first started. I was with a Central 21 company that was then purchased, and we were starting a team because I had a great year as a solo agent. And one of the guys there said, don't do it. You're going to do less business next year. It's going to be terrible. And it's not terrible. It's great, but it is challenging. You are giving up some of your time. You have to think longer term. What's the best for the relationship with this agent? What's the best for the growth of the team? And I think that's a challenge for a lot of people. I think they start a team and they want to say, "Oh, I did this." There's a million real estate teams. It doesn't, it's not that glamorous of a title.
Yeah, and the sharing of your time is you have to love, just like being in management. Like you have to really love what you do. Because the hours that are going to go into starting a team and what that looks like. And like you had said, I had recently restarted a team.
Yeah.
And so things that the minutia of that, right? So talking about getting like a team website off the ground, a new team logo, like, getting bios for people, like, coalescing around certain ideas for marketing.
Yeah.
That all takes up time, and it's much easier to be a solo agent because you're only responsible for yourself.
Yep.
And so, just some food for thought for everybody that is thinking about that team. Like you had said, you have to make the focus on the team. It's not about you and what you can get from other people. It's what other people can potentially get from you in order to make the whole team successful.
Yeah, and I think a fair question to ask, and I ask this all the time, like, why the hell would someone want to be on the team with me if I'm the team leader? I think that's a fair question. It's not disparaging. I'm not being self-effacing. I think you got to be able to present that value proposition to people, like how are you going to save them time? How are you going to make them money? And if you can't do that, you better have an awful lot of business that's trickling down to them, because that's usually not the reality for most teams.
Sure. Absolutely. All right, man. So I'm going to let you get out of here. I got one more question for you. All right. So as I said earlier, you and I go way back. All right. So we're both North Penn alums. We went to high school together. We have several mutual friends.
Yeah.
And both of us actually got our real estate licenses in 2004.
Yep.
I didn't actually start using mine to 2007 because I'm lazy, but I got it in 2004. All right. Which I did not know that we both got them the same year. So we've known each other for a long time. So I feel like we can be honest with each other. All right.
Sure.
So if we're being perfectly honest out there, last question. Who do you like better as an office manager? My mother or my wife?
Oh, look at that. Look at that question.
I'm setting you up to fail on this.
Yeah. Well, this is great. I guess I'm going to be asked to leave no matter what the answer is here. So the answer is, I'm going to answer it very diplomatically. Different skill sets for different times.
Oh, you're such a pro. I'm telling you. I thought I was going to get you with that one. I figured you would find a side door to exit.
Yeah, a little loophole.
Well, listen, man, it's always good to talk to you. I'm so glad, just from a personal standpoint, I'm just extremely glad that you're back. It's great having you in the office. The team definitely brings energy to the office. I always see some Bob Kelley team member floating around the office that I'm talking to. So it's great to have you back. Much continued success for you this year and years beyond. And thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And we are definitely happy to be back. The office vibes are great.
All right. Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
All right.
I'll talk to you.
Thanks, Jeff.
That was the conversation with my friend Bob Kelley. Here are a few takeaways that I have from talking to Bob. Number one, if you're thinking about starting a team, first and foremost, the focus has to be on what can I give to the team rather than what can the team give to me? And let's be perfectly honest. Some people start a team seeing dollar signs in their minds and how they can make money off of that team. And then there are other team leaders that are, quote unquote, that servant leader that we talk about, that are out to enhance others' business production, give them what they need at all times, and be that leader that everyone aspires to be. So my first takeaway is that if you're going to get into being a team leader, get into it for the right reasons. Bob clearly does that, and you can see that reflected in his team's success. Number 2, being a good team leader means that you must communicate well. And I think that, I've known Bob for a very long time. And one of the things that strikes me in my conversation, every time I talk to Bob just has a way of simplifying the process, right? Simplifying, getting to the heart of the matter and finding a solution to the problem at hand. That's where he excels, and that's why he's such a good team leader. When people on his team need to go to him, he can communicate how to proceed with any particular problem that they may have. So my second point is, in order to be reliable for your team, you must learn to communicate effectively with your team members. Last but not least, as Bob mentions, in order to be a successful team leader, you have to show your agents how you're going to save them time and how you're going to make them money. You have to show them a path forward that it is better working on the team than working by themselves. Why are they joining your team? What are you going to do for them in order for them to be more successful? That's the first question that you have to answer if you're going to be a team leader, and you better have an answer or you're quickly going to lose agents. So always have your why, right? Why are you doing this, and what is going to drive your team's success? If you can answer that question and answer it well, then you're going to have a successful team. Well, that's it for this week's episode. We will be back in another couple of weeks with a new topic, a new guest, and as always, if you want to hear something that we haven't covered yet, please reach out to me, jason.ostrowski@foxroach.com. And if you haven't liked or subscribed to our podcast or left us a review yet, please do so. It helps us to reach more people. Once again, this is Jason Ostrowski saying stay safe, stay selling, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast.